What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, your DIY guy. If you're new here, welcome. Go ahead, like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of this exciting DIY content that we got going on. On today's episode, we're going to be showing you how to build this exciting Boma and Fire Pit area. It turned out absolutely fantastic, so stay tuned right up until the end so you can see how we did it. Take care. Here's a view of the area where we're going to be building the Boma and Fire Pit, and you can see in the background the overall entertainment area with the barbecues, or braais as we call them in South Africa, and that little cabin is the bar, so quite a cool complement to this area. And we get started, of course, with our foundations, and we just took some spray paint and a tape measure to designate where we need to draw our lines. The overall dimensions for the circle is about 4 meters in diameter. That's just over 13 feet. And you can see there's going to be 3 seaters in this area. This one closest to us is about 3 meters in length, and the other 2 are 2 meters in length. So you've got the view of the entertainment area. So we got on with digging out all of the unwanted grass and getting down to our foundation level, and then we can go ahead and mix up our concrete. And given that this was in the heart of winter, we decided to let it thoroughly cure overnight given the cold temperatures, and we came back in the next morning and we found it perfectly ready to get started with the build. So thankfully day 2 gets off to a rocket start because the concrete foundation is nicely cured out overnight despite those cold temperatures. You can see that section getting some morning sun, thankfully. And we got the area prepared first off with all of our bricks and our mortar mixture that we're going to be needing in order to create a production line of mixing and building simultaneously. Now here's a good view of the lay of the land, so to speak. You can see the gradient from left to right goes downwards towards that entertainment area, creating almost an amphitheater kind of feel. But you've got to keep that in mind when you're building, just to compensate for that incline or decline, whichever way you look at it. We get started with the first course of bricks just to establish the foundation and the levelness of the area. And as I mentioned previously, we need to compensate for the slight decline going downwards in that area. And so obviously we add a bit more mortar to that side. Now you can also use a roller course where you turn the bricks on their sides, but that would have been too much, including the mortar, and wouldn't have allowed us to be level as we are right now. So once we establish the level, we can then go ahead and start building vertically, and we're just going to be creating a half circle shape like this, which is empty in the middle, but you'll see how we'll take care of that in a second. We ended day 2 by completing the second bench seater, as you see there. Those are the 2 meter length seaters. And day 3 starts very much the same as day 2 did by measuring up the gaps in between each of the benches. And this is important to keep a consistent look all around, especially considering it is a circular structure. And so that doesn't catch your eye awkwardly and look a bit weird. At the same time, we're excavating an area for our cobblestone border to go around the perimeter of the structure. Now you can see our benches are 50 shades of red, which is quite interesting. However, our cobblestone borders are going to be a cement gray color. And I think this will contrast and complement quite nicely against the benches, but they'll also match up to the top of the benches, which you'll see a bit later. So now that the concrete foundation is starting to cure up, once it's there, let's go ahead and install these little guys. Whilst that cobblestone foundation was curing up, we cleaned the inside of the Boma area and removed all of the grass and debris in preparation for the next step, which is coming up real soon, so stay tuned for that. On the concrete foundation, we literally drew a line that followed the circumference of the area just to give us a visual guide of where each of the cobblestones need to go. Then we used the string line in a diagonal fashion, which also gave us a guide to the elevation for each of the cobblestones, as you can see. And we followed that up with a straight edge just to ensure that all of them were consistently at the right elevation. If that doesn't make any sense, then hit me up in the comments down below so I can answer any questions you may still have. But basically, we leveled it all out and we just ensured that they were correctly spaced from the center. As you can see, we used the tape measure for each of the cobblestones, and that gave us a nice rounded figure in the end. We followed up with some cement mortar haunching, and this just increases the strength behind each of the cobblestones and also prevents any grass from growing into the area. It's day 4 and it's the last day of the build to finish this project up quite beautifully, and we started off the day by filling in each of the seaters with this crushed gravel stone. It's a 13mm gravel stone that compacts quite nicely, and we will be installing our cobblestone pavers on top. Yep, this is a different use, but I think it turns out quite nicely. I want you to let me know down in the comments what you think about using cobblestones as a bench top, and also the color contrast that I mentioned earlier. Let me know if you love it or if you don't, if you do something different, but it would be great to hear your suggestions as well. Now we simultaneously were cleaning up the area. This is the dry mortar from the day before, just to ensure that it doesn't cake on and sit there for good. We cleaned up the center section in preparation for the cobblestones, and yeah man, it was a rush to the finish, but stay tuned to see how it turned out. Whilst each of the bench seaters were being filled up with concrete, we then laid down some weed fabric, and this just prevents any organic matter from growing through those gravel stones, because can you imagine the maintenance on that? And of course we overlapped it by about 30 centimeters before introducing our crushed gravel stone. Now this is a red oxide color. It's beautiful. It matches up with our bench seaters and it offsets on our perimeter, as well as the bench tops where we are going to be inserting our paver stones, as I mentioned earlier. Now the gravel stone does look a bit darker right now, and that's just because it was in a heaped pile and I guess got wet, or as it was standing at the supplier, but it does dry out to a lighter color, which you'll see a bit later on. Now we were test fitting a few of the cobblestone tops just to get the right level, to get the right pattern, and eventually what we just decided is it'll probably all blend in anyway. Because of the curvature, because of the sizes, you wouldn't get an exact lineup of lines and so on. So in the end, we just went for it. Congratulations, you're part of the Watch to the End Club. Go ahead and tell YouTube you made it by smashing that thumbs up button. Also, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any of this exciting content. After all, it is free. And also share this with someone who might find it useful. Now, we had a ton of fun on this project, and so did the homeowner. In fact, they even did a testimonial video for us, which is coming up next on Nail and Screw.